Now that I've wasted all that time, let's get into this. So, I've already got the definition as noun, an activity or practice that has been taught from one generation to another. Now let's work on the history and etymology portion of the script here. Okay. And I got viewers back. Nice. Now that I've actually got the audio working. Okay, so I usually will start at the end from whatever the Proto-Indo-European root is. So let's see. It is tradition. The word is a doublet of treason, meaning a long-established custom. From 1590s, the notion is of customs, ways, beliefs, doctrines handed down from one generation to the next. Okay. Statement, belief, or practice handed down from generations, especially belief, practice from Old French tradition, transmission, presentation, handing over, and directly from Latin traditionem, traditio. I like traditio better. It's easier to pronounce. Traditio. Delivery, surrender, a handing down, a giving up. Noun of action, from past participle of tradire. Deliver, hand over. From trans, over. And dare, to give. From the Proto-Indo-European root do, to give. Okay. So the definition that I've come up with is an activity that has been taught from one generation to another. Now, the thing I found interesting here is this Oxford English Dictionary. So the Oxford Dictionary usually gives the British definition of the word. So I think it's interesting that their definition focuses on the transmission of a custom or belief from generation to generation, or the fact of being passed on in this way. And the American definition that we get from Merriam-Webster's is an inherited, established, or customary pattern of thought, action, or behavior, such as a religious practice or social custom. So, going between the British definition and the English definition, or the American definition, that's the one I'm going with because that's the way I've always used the word, to refer directly to the custom itself. The pattern of thought, that's what's traditional, or what is a tradition, and not necessarily the transmission. You don't hear tradition used to refer to the transmission of a word or of a custom between the generations. So let's see, where do we start with? We want to start with the do, to give, dare. It doesn't have the Proto-Indo-European trans, so we'll tradere. which is Latin. Okay. So, the word tradition started its existence I just have certain ways my fingers like to move when I type. As a verb in Latin, meaning to hand over or give. Or no, deliver or hand over. Hand over or deliver. Okay. I like using their examples. Okay. The word tradition started its existence as the Latin verb tradire, meaning to hand over or give. And I'm hitting the wrong shortcut. Okay. Now, as okay, I should put that over there since that's not what I'm looking at. The noun form of this word was traditionomen. Traditionomen. I need to find a consistent place I can find pronunciations for these words. Okay. Let me bring up the Oxford English dictionaries as well, because sometimes they've got different information in the etymologies. That's what I'm looking for. Let's see, transmitting, action of transmitting, an idea of concept transmitted, Latin, traditone. I like that's how I'm going to pronounce it. I'm going to copy that. Traditone. That should help me remember how to pronounce that later. Okay. I went to the wrong page. Let's go back here. Traditio. That was... It's weird that it's related to treason. I don't know how to make that work into the story, though. I might look that up. Let's do that a little bit later. Tradit. Particular tradere. Action of handing over, transmitting. Yeah, I warned you in the description this would be boring. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can put them in the comments. I'm looking at, or the chat. I'm looking at the chat section right now. Handing over sacred books. And it's etonym. Handing over, delivery, surrender, transmission of knowledge, teaching. This doesn't have the... Well, definitely comes through Old French. I'm going to go with that Latin word right there as the OED one. Traditon. 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 I like that. Tradere. Okay. Let's just move it on into French, which I can find. An OED. Well, there we are. And the French became well, tradition. 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 Okay. So this isn't a super interesting because etymology. So I'm actually doing the word tradition as a request for my brother, who's doing a thing about Christmas traditions and what movies people watch and that kind of thing, and he wanted to use a segment of my video in his. Let's see. And I'm tempted to and as Latin morphed into Old French, it became tradition. I hope I'm pronouncing that French right. I think it was modern. It was just, or Middle French, sorry, Middle French. And I left the O there. I also use this as my show notes, so I try and edit as I go. I know you're not really supposed to do that, but okay. Middle French. I think it was tradition. And finally, in English as tradition. Okay. Let me actually see if I can talk to my brother and see if he's got his end of the bargain held up. I'm going to try and get him on Facebook Messenger. But while we're doing that, so that brings us to the end of the etymology for the thing. What I'd like to look into is to see how it melds with the word treason, because he really wants to complain about how people use or watch Die Hard as a Christmas movie. I'm giving away his video idea, but I think his thing is going to be Christmas movies are never released in July, which is when Die Hard was released. So actually I might just play some of his thing if he'll let me. Hopefully he responds. Actually, I might just do that. You're very welcome. I'm referring to the chat here. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble pronouncing that word. Too many consonants in a row. Scamariner. Hey, my little word wizard. Good to see you. Thank you for what you do. Words are very important. You're very welcome. I enjoy doing this. I thought it would be fun to do a stream tonight because I have an empty house, so I don't have loud TV going in the background or child yelling or doing what children do. So let's look at treason and see how it's a doublet of tradition. You know, I'm lame. Don't know it. Just make sure I know what doublet means. Okay. A set of two identical or similar things. Something consisting of two identical or similar parts. Okay. So treason and tradition. So trans meaning to give. Okay. Trader. Ooh. Treachery. Oh. That's interesting. So nominative traditio. Delivery, surrender, a handing down, a giving up. And then it moved into French as, oh, that's cool. So it actually made it all the way to the Latin phrase tradition, and that's cool. Okay, so I am going to work that in. Okay, it looks like he's going to have it done tomorrow. I'm going to have him do the prescription portion of the video, so I'm going to introduce his character. After I get what his character says, I'm going to send him the video. I'm going to ask him right now if I can play the portion that he sent me. So, as I was researching oh, cool. Yeah, he's gonna let me play that. Let me grab that video. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Here is, I don't know which is which. Test, let's go with test number 7. This is the one he wanted me to watch.
Hey kids, Felton here. I just wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite things, Christmas movies. Christmas movies are a fun treat from this time of year. Whether it's Charlie Brown learning about what Christmas is all about, Princess Leia singing the Life Day song from that holiday special nobody watched. Clark Griswold even wanted that perfect family Christmas one year. And around this time of year, Kevin McAllister is protecting his home from the wet bandits. Those guys suck. Then they became the Sticky Bandits, but that's a different story. Christmas movies run a gambit of themes, storylines, and characters. The plethora of films to choose from is endless. Here is a short list of my favorite Christmas movies from this holiday season.
Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?
Video, so I'm gonna
Sure, Charlie Brown. I can tell you what Christmas is all about.
Thought that would be fun. Okay. So, tradition, let's go back to treason and see what, tradition. Tradition. I like saying it that way. It's nice. Also made its way into French. as, how did it say that? It was trahison. As trahison. Trahison. Where we get the word, or where English gets the word treason. Okay. Modern French trahison, from Latin tradition, nominative, delivery, surrender, handing down, a giving up. Noun of action, past participle of tradire, meaning to trans over plus dare, to give. Meaning to give. A doublet of tradition. The Old French form was influenced by the verb traire, betray. Trahison. So, how did... Okay, so it meant to give up. To give up or hand over. And the beginning of the word what was that word it said there? Traire. Betray. Okay. Yep. Perfect. At least I hope that's what it meant, but I found that very interesting. This is interesting. Because the guest we have today to provide the prescription wants to talk about a particular movie and the traditions surrounding the movies we watch around Christmas time. Okay. So, I'm not sure that the video I'm going to ask him to produce another segment especially for my video, and I think he's just going to take segments directly from mine to work into his. Still have 2 viewers. Pretty cool. Okay. Well, I think I'm done with that. Now, I've started adding a hook to the beginning of my videos so that just to make it more as I was watching other YouTube videos, I noticed people had a short intro, like I think it was Comics Explained he's like, welcome to the Rob Corps, you know, that kind of a thing at the beginning of his videos, and then briefly talks about what his channel is, and then it goes into a little bit about what they're going to talk about in the video. And I think that's going to be good to grab people's attention and get them to stay for the entire length of the video, at least be more likely to. And I've noticed since I've started doing that, the watch time has gone up on my channel significantly. So I'm very happy to do that. Now most of the time I've been using mostly the same intro, so let me go back to my Doom show notes, because I don't want my show notes, I want the script. I want my Doom script. Doom script, there we go. Welcome back. Lexophiles. Now lexophiles is actually a made-up word. Logophile is the word for a lover of words. I wanted something that meant closer to the lover of the history of words and this process and the definitions and meanings. And I know I'm mixing Greek and Latin with this, which to a lot of people is a no-no, but I like the way it sounds. Lexophiles, words we use every day. Everyone has traditions surrounding holidays. Let me just commit to Christmas. I can go a little bit away from the PC stuff. Okay, let's take a look at the word itself. The word tradition. Let's take a look at the word tradition itself. Okay. Definition, tradition. History and etymology. Okay. Let's move this down here after prescription. And this is where I want to discuss the difference between the English definition and the American definition. Okay, so when it came time for me to create a definition for the word tradition, I came across something interesting in the two major dictionaries. They each treated a word differently. The OED, Oxford English Dictionary, and their free website, Oxford Living Dictionary. Now, both of those have very... I can't type. Both of those have very different both of those usually have very similar definitions. It just leaves out a lot of the background information and so if you look at this, we've got tradition, and it's got some examples down here and the definitions, and then it's got a really brief version of the word there. But if you look on here in the Oxford English Dictionary, it goes back to 1384, and it shows you the why the I'm sorry, my old English is terrible. Or breken the traditions or statutes. So it gives the if you have an opportunity to get access to the Oxford English Dictionary, I highly recommend it. Okay. And then where was I? Define tradition as actual transmission the British dictionaries the OED is the actual transmission of the from one generation to the next. But the American I can never remember how to spell Merriam. I always spell it wrong. But the American Merriam-Webster defines a tradition as my typing skills. I can type. It's just never a tradition as the custom that is passed down. Almost out of time. It's 7:20 here. I'll be everyone comes home at 7:30, so, or just after that, so I want to she's reluctant, even though she was in the vlog I recorded the other day. We were out in public, and that's more acceptable than when we're at home. She doesn't want to be our private life being broadcast to the world. So, by the way, check out my vlog channel. I'll have a link to that in the description as well after I've released this in the final version of this. We went and saw some Christmas lights. It was fun. Okay. Anyone that's watching, do you have any comments about tradition that might be good to put in the prescription portion of what do you do? I might include some of my traditions. I don't think I'm going to get to recording before we hang up, or before I turn this off. Stop the stream. But looks like I still just got 2 viewers, so one of them's probably me because I don't even know how that works. Just saw a funny comment on Facebook over here. So, doesn't look like we got any interest from the gallery. I guess I could do some recording. So here's how I do that. I'm going to move my script onto a different window. I'll have this up here. So, this is Audacity. It's a wonderful program. I absolutely love it. Thanks for replying. Okay, good. I'm going to do some recording, and hopefully I'll come up with some more stuff before I get to that point. So, welcome back, Lexophiles, to the Video Dictionary, where we explore the history, meaning, and context of the words we use every day. Everyone has Everyone has traditions surrounding the Christmas season, but let's take a look at what the word tradition itself means. Might be a little quiet for in context of the words we use every day. Everyone has tradition. Okay, let me remove some of that space there. We can. So, since I'm doing this essentially in my living room with the kitchen right next to me, with the loudest refrigerator in human history, I'm going to do some noise removal. So we'll grab a sample of some white noise, background noise, and we will then repeat the process. And we can, and then we do the compressor, and that brings up the volume of the whole piece. Welcome back, Lexophiles, to the Video Dictionary, where we explore the history, meaning, and context of the words we use every day. I didn't like history, meaning, and context. Then I can remove my breath. Meaning and context of the words we use every day. Everyone has traditions surrounding the Christmas season, But let's take a look. Okay, too much space there. Now, I like to record it in small segments, and usually I don't save outtakes that are left out. Generally don't need to. It's not like we're working with film where we have to keep everything. If it's something funny, I might keep it and use it later, but I probably won't. So 01 hook. Okay. Definition. Tradition. Noun. An activity or practice that has been taught from one generation to another. Okay, I need to get a little closer because Definition. Tradition. Noun. An activity or practice that has been taught from one generation to another. My cat has decided to join me and play with the recycling that's sitting next to me. His name is Alduin, after the dragon from Skyrim. He's not happy that I picked him up, apparently. Say hello. Okay, you can attack the mic. Now get away and don't play with the recycling, because it's loud. Shoo. Okay. So let's take a sample from there. We can noise removal, get sample, select all, repeat noise removal. Compressor, make everything louder. Definition. Tradition. Tradition. Noun. Tradition. Noun. An activity or practice that has been taught from one generation to another. Beautiful. I love it. Okay. Export audio. 02. And I don't have numlock on, so that didn't work. Okay. Now this is where it gets wonky, where I have to start pronouncing. Where did everything go? When I have to start pronouncing weird English and Latin words that I'm not used to pronouncing. There it is. Okay. History and etymology. Usually I'll record that part first, and I record it each and every time because my audio setup isn't the same every time, so it'll sound different if I recorded it previously and then just inserted that every time. So I try and record it every time. Let's see if I can do this first time. Tradere. I think that's how I want to pronounce that word. Tradere, meaning to hand over. The noun form of this is tradition. Traditon. There we go. That's how I'll pronounce that. Traditon. And as Latin morphed into Old French, it became tradition. Tradition to tradition to tradition. Okay, there we go. The word tradition started its existence. Okay, I need to get closer to the mic again. The word tradition started its existence as the Latin verb traditere, meaning to hand over or deliver. Oh, sometimes it does. If you have a portion selected, it only records in that section. So that's what happened there. The word tradition started its existence as the Latin verb traditere, meaning to hand over or deliver. The noun form of this. Okay. The noun form of this word was traditon, and as Latin morphed into Old French, it became tradition, to Middle French, tradition, and finally in English, tradition. Okay. So that's the first segment of that. Okay, it looks like it's 7:31, so they'll be home soon. So I don't want to, and the cat's attacking the... Okay, it seems like my cat wants some attention, and everyone's going to be home soon. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to give my cat some attention, and I'll wrap this up, and I hope I can get this out before the end of the week. Thank you.